icy blast, of course, comes in the wake of Storm Henk, which left many areas flooded, leaving many people unable to return to their homes.
Well, joining us now is civil engineer and flood specialist Simon Crowther. Good morning, good to see you. Look, these floods, I mean, we were affected near where we live. Houses were flooded as well. A lot of the water where I am has receded, but that's not the case everywhere. People are still dealing with this at the moment.
Yeah, people are still dealing with it. There's still flood warnings and flood alerts out. But I think what's key to focus on at the minute is actually, although the bulk of the weather has gone, could you imagine anything worse than being in your home that's been destroyed by floodwater, all of a sudden to be hit by this cold snap? You might have no gas, no electric, no way of putting the heating on, no way of drying that place out. And then suddenly the temperatures plummet. It's going to be absolutely terrible. There's never a good time to flood, but winter floods can be one of the worst.
What we're told time and time again when this happens is, well, we're going to look at ways to prevent it. I mean, what are the options on the table? Because I tell you what people always message in about, Simon, and that's dredging.
So dredging won't help with large-scale flooding like this. It can actually make it slightly worse. There's a whole jigsaw of flood mitigation measures we have to look at. And actually, because the climate is changing so much, simply building higher and higher concrete walls and flood defences isn't going to work. And actually, a lot of the defences we've got will be overtopped in the next few years as the climate changes. But that doesn't mean they've failed. That means the storm was worse than the design criteria of that equipment. What we need to be looking at is more natural flood management as well. So actually, how can we hold water in the catchment to reduce it from getting to the rivers so quickly? What we've seen in Nottinghamshire, where there was a major incident declared, was actually the River Trent flooding, but because a lot of the catchments had suffered their own flooding, where water had run off the hillside quickly, impacted the areas, and then flown into the Trent. And these are communities that have been campaigning for years for government support to actually implement things like natural flood management, slow the flow, so that actually it wouldn't have even reached the river potentially by that point, would have also protected that community. But they're just not getting the help that they need. And I think this is a case across the country. One of the things that the government are looking at, which is nice to see, is they've issued a £5,000 grant to homeowners, but that grant hasn't increased in the last 10 years. It should be pegged to inflation. By the time you've taken VAT off that and paid for the survey, there's not really a lot left. So I do worry that that's sort of a sticking plaster from the government and actually doesn't address any of the issues.